Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inna alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in ala al-khulafai al-rashidin al-mahdiin. Amma ba'd. Good evening, everybody. Hey, Ismail, Imam. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, my eyes are red, y'all. I have not been smoking or nothing. It's allergy. My allergies are real bad. As y'all know, I work outside. So what's going on, Ismail Brian? Sorry, Habibi. Sorry, I keep missing your calls, man. It's been very busy, Habibi. Very busy. I'm talking about my phone ringing. I'm on my phone. I'm on my little Power Ranger watch in one hand and got holding the mower in the other hand. And no sleep, allergies, tired, back broke. Oh, it's crazy. So, inshallah ta'ala, Habibi, as soon as everything slows down, I'm gonna catch up. We're gonna catch up, inshallah ta'ala. But yes, support Black Muslim scholarship. I'm not a scholar, but I'm one who studies. Inshallah ta'ala. Give us a like, give us a heart, give us a thumbs up. Drop us salam alaikum, a comment, something. Let's get the divine algorithm flowing. We're back. Alhamdulillah. We are back. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Wa la ilaha illallah. Muhammadun Rasulullah. We took a break for Ramadan. Of course, everybody was busy doing as much ibadat as they possibly could. So, alhamdulillah, we back in motion, back in swing. The brothers in the 18, inshallah, they will be getting back into rotation as well. Everybody's schedules changed and been turned upside down, and work schedules changed, and all kinds of stuff. Y'all know how it is being mujahideen out here. You know, we out here struggling. So, alhamdulillah, we back in the flow. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll be doing this series until we finish it. I don't know how many it's going to be. I'm going to try to make them all an hour piece because I know people got stuff to do. And my goal is to always make the sharing of me sharing knowledge concise and edible for the people. I walk all the way up to the mountaintops and get the knowledge from the shuyukh and try to bring it down to the people because I know the people don't have time. I don't have time to go up to the mountaintop all the time. The people don't have time to go to the mountaintop at all. And alhamdulillah, I'm from the neighborhood. So, hey, Marsh, what's up? What up, folks? That's my guy. If y'all knew who this guy used to be, Marsh Sadiq Abdul, if y'all knew who he was before, all y'all would take shahada. Everybody would become a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. It's my guy, man, from that folk. What up? Alhamdulillah. But yeah, I'm gonna try to do this once a week, inshallah ta'ala, and fiqh, our everyday worship. Hey, Chris, what's going on? Christopher Yusuf. Assalamu alaikum, brother. May Allah ta'ala reward you. We were discussing you too, Chris. We're gonna get you in a rotation, man, because you're a young student of knowledge, and we want to display. And you rightly got it. Alhamdulillah. Hey, Imam Nadir up in here, Joyce Pro. What's happening? Yeah, Chris, we're gonna try to get you in the rotation, man. We gotta get our schedule and everything worked out, inshallah ta'ala. We want to display our youth, especially our youth that are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim, that are staunch proponents of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, and they're not Wahhabis. That's my one shot for the episode. So inshallah, we're gonna try to get you worked in. Assalamu alaikum, Saleh. Imam Nadeem, Sheikh. Assalamu alaikum. We gotta get you on the program too, man. Interview you. Well, yeah, inshallah. So this book going into Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It's called UMMUL-BARAAHEEN. It is an Ash'ari Aqidah book. To me, if you ask me, my humble opinion, if it means anything, it is the standard. As far as I've seen so far, it is the standard quo criteria of the Ash'ari Aqidah. It's hard to really find Ash'ari Aqidah books, especially translated into English. This book is translated into English, so we know we all have free access to it. And the translations, I got like 3 different translations. They are very good. They're very good. But I'm from the neighborhood, so we have a we need a translation for the translation. This is why we are the A-team is in business. I'm telling you a lot. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll be doing this book once a week for an hour only, inshallah. We've been doing 2 and 3 hour joints, and that stuff gets crazy sometimes. But when we bang in and we in the trenches, that's how I go. But I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet and to the point, for the sake of our people. I know folks got stuff to do. I know everybody got their own bit that they into. So, but this has to be part of the bit, and that's actually what. Oh, okay. That's actually the book. The book is short and sweet and to the point, and we have to do this dhikr. That's what this is. This is dhikr. This is remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's mandatory that we do it. We don't do it as much as we should. So that's what we are focused on here at the 18, inshallah ta'ala. So I'm gonna jump straight in. The only question I normally save a segment for questions and answers if I can answer the questions. But please keep the questions and the answers pertaining to this text, because this is a study. This is not one of my refutations or conversations or just my normal little videos, just dropping a little knowledge. This isn't that. We learning right now. We took the meat on the bone. So take notes, follow along, try to remember as much of this as you possibly can. If you can't take notes, I'm gonna try to break it down as clear as possible. I'm gonna just, how I broke it down to myself, I'm just gonna give it to y'all like that, inshallah ta'ala. So before we actually get into the book, we might, there's a preface or preface, depending on where you're from. I'm from Cincinnati, so I say preface. My guys up north, Charlotte, and the preface. We must read the preface. Y'all got me talking like y'all, man. Assalamu alaikum, sister Khalid. Not Kali, Khalid. Assalamu alaikum, sis. This gonna be short and sweet, and please hold the questions if y'all can. I'm gonna try to do like the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes of the segment. I'm gonna try to keep the presentation very short and sweet if possible. I don't think we're not gonna get into the actual text today. We're gonna begin the text. I wrote up a little introduction for myself because sometimes, all the time, I've noticed, and I've been teaching for a long time at a lower level. I'm not the alim ali ulama, nothing like that. I have noticed that some stuff can throw you off. Let me just side note real quick. Brothers and sisters, know that the sacred books, they were translated from Arabic, and the vast majority of the translations that we have are in like Old English, or it's in like British English, not American English. And it's from like brothers who were European of some sort. Most of them were Pakistani. As far as I know, the most divine books that have been translated are in or by the Pakistani brothers and Indian brothers, the Hanafi brothers. So sometimes the English will throw you off, and then sometimes like reading the whole preface and all that stuff, it'll throw you off because you pick up a book for a certain thing, and then the book is talking about, it starts out some way far left somewhere, and you like, what, man, this ain't got nothing to do with the book, and you put it down. But if you have patience and you get through these prefaces, like there's like 2 or 3 different prefaces in like one book sometimes, and it'll throw you off. So it used to throw me off. I had to have patience and read all this stuff. And I used to skim over it because I'm like, I ain't reading this book for that. I'm reading this book for something else. So inshallah ta'ala, we're going to touch the preface. And we're going to touch the preface, inshallah ta'ala, after I do my presentation, an introduction to this. So we're going to dive right in, inshallah ta'ala. Everybody's saying support the brother, support Black Muslim scholarship. I can't say that enough because there are not enough of us. Drop a heart, drop a thumb, hit the share button. I do not get paid from this. I'm straight. I'm cool, mashallah ta'ala. So I don't need y'all's monies or y'all's subscription. I just need everybody's cooperation so that I can live in a peaceful community alongside my brothers and my sisters. That's my end goal. That's my game. Not to be a big YouTuber and all that stuff. I actually rather don't speak and rather not be doing this. But everybody, if anybody knows Islamic law, when there's a void in this matter, then you have to fill it if you are able to fill it. And we are doing our best, inshallah ta'ala. So support. Okay. So this book is about Aqidah. First thing, what is Aqidah? I'm not going to. So if you want to go to Arabic class, hey, Malika, assalamu alaikum. Sister Tasha. Oh, we got the Lady A team up in here. They representing. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, so I'm not. This is not Arabic class. So this is for the people. This is the basics. So we are not going to get very technical in the fundamentals. People get lost in all the high up knowledge and showing people how many Arabic words you know and how many hadiths you memorize. I'm for the people. I'm boots on the ground. I'm from the neighborhood. I ain't shout out to Westwood. But yeah, we ain't finna do all that. So I'm gonna speak in layman's terms. So please, naysayers, especially the Negro naysayers, save it. Save it. All the going back and forth about, oh, he don't know the Arabic. Oh, he said this word like this. We ain't doing none of that. I don't even speak English appropriately. So we definitely ain't finna be all uppity with the Arabic. So anyway, Aqidah. Just being short, this is the belief of the Muslims. If I'm not mistaken, it comes from the word aqd, which is like the foundation of something, the structure of something. So our Muslim scholars have used that word in reference to iman or belief, which is the aqidah is the structure or the foundation of your belief. The aqidah is, it's the details of your belief. Having iman, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his Rasul, aqidah, this is just in short, aqidah, the details of that. And that's what this book is, UMMUL-BARAAHEEN. The title is beautiful. I've listened to a couple of lectures, and the scholars spent a considerable amount of time just talking about the title. And our the Islamic scholars, we are unique for that. No other scholars and no other religious tradition has that as a tradition, to where the titles, even the titles of books and the titles of chapters, actually have deep meaning, and you can spend a considerable amount of time teaching and learning just about the titles of books and chapters. So this title, UMMUL-BARAAHEEN, literally the word means it's mother, but our Islamic scholars were the greatest linguists ever. They were the best with language, and this is a skill that our scholars picked up from learning the Quran. All of our scholars have they understand the paradigm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used when putting the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran to us. That eloquent style of speech, our scholars all kind of did that. So the word he was not using that word to mean mother, but you can translate it as mother. But he was using it to basically mean the original or the foundation. Some people like translate it like that. The foundational proofs, burhan, those are proofs. It's proof. It's evidence. So, excuse me. The proofs and evidences of what? This book is so beautiful. Alhamdulillah. This book is about the proofs and evidences of belief. Belief is something metaphysical. It's not physical, and this is the problem in today's society. Everybody got that friend or those friends that you sitting around talking, about God, or you show up with your kufi. I know, Marsh, I know you, I know the brothers is getting on you, man. You pop up with your kufi and your beard, and they be like, man, how you know God exists? You ever seen him? How you know Muhammad said that? Was you there when he said it? So you can get stuck. And I got interested in this in the study of Aqidah because I encountered that so much, being from the hood. That's not something that we, that ain't something that we do. Everybody go to church, or whatever. When your granny or your auntie or your mama or somebody drag you in there, or whatever, but it was never like something that was actually part of our culture. So, you get a lot of flack and a lot of pushback when you decide to become Muslim. So, and this book kind of has a lot of that tone in it. That's what's beautiful about this book. This scholar, Imam Sanusi, he put together this book to give us the evidences, the foundational evidences of belief. This book is so good that if you learn it, then it'll be as if you can take your belief and put it in your hand. That's how clear the concept of this book is. That's what's so beautiful about it. So it's different than some of the other Aqidah books, like Aqidah to Tahawiyah. That's really like a structural book, and it's the most. It's basic. It's deep, but it's basic. And it just gives us the principles of belief, from a sound source. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to revisit Aqidah to Tahawiyah, inshallah ta'ala. But Imam Sanusi was a little different. His book was a little different. He wanted to take it a step further. He wanted to go deep into the actual concepts that we believe in, and I want to touch on that. So that's what's beautiful about this book, UMMUL-BARAAHEEN. It's different because Imam Sanusi, rahimahullah, went into using the structural proof, the Quran and the Sunnah, and then giving it its proper contextual meaning. So that's what we're getting ready to be getting into. And for the note, I am not a scholar in Ilm al-Kalam. I am a student of Ilm al-Kalam. And when I'm learning, I'm sharing it. It's hot off the press. As soon as I get it, and I feel like, I done grabbed it enough to be able to share it with my folks, that's what we're going to be doing, inshallah ta'ala. So, starting off, let's talk about the history and the development of the science of Aqidah. First and foremost, about Aqidah. So, the biggest problem that we have right now is the situation of the mutashabihat. The mutashabihat, for those people who do not know, those are those verses that are not clear. They are not clear. They are the minority of the deen. The verses that are not clear. For example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Alif, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alif Lam Mim. What does that mean? Don't nobody know what that means. That's something that's mutashabihat. That's something that's unclear. We don't know. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said istawa ala al-arsh, when he, you should get nervous even trying to translate this stuff, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rose above the throne. Some other ayahs, Yadullah fawqa aydihim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hand is over them. Verses like that, if you have an untrained mind and your iman is either low, hollow, or undeveloped or underdeveloped, then when you hear that word, Yadullah, Allah's hand, another ayah said Yadan, excuse me, two hands, is like, you kind of start getting Christian, feeling, you get a Christian feeling, like when, a lot of us left Christianity and came into Islam, and it's like you going back to that worship of a man. So books like this and studies like this in Aqidah clear these matters up for us, for Muslims, for the believers. So that's what Aqidah is. So first and foremost, about this topic, mutashabihat, the unclear verses. We must know, if you don't learn nothing else and you don't follow these videos too long, or you don't ever read anything about the mutashabihat, you're just a regular everyday Muslim, you praying 5 times a day, fasting during Ramadan, you married, you just regular guy and gal. Just know this for a fact, that um, there's 2 ways to deal with. You okay? Okay. 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 There's 2 ways to deal with these unclear verses. The scholars call these sciences tafweed and ta'wil. Tafweed and ta'wil. Okay. Tafweed, you don't even bother. You hear me say this all the time. This is the safest position. When you hear Yadullah fawqa aydihim, you keep going to the next verse. Don't even wonder what that ayah means. Ta'wil, about this ayah, you look at what the scholars said. So in Islam, we follow the Salafi Salihin, not the group, the Salafis, today, the modern day sect, not them. We follow the predecessors, our righteous predecessors. For those people who don't know, it is the companions, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the people who he gave the Quran to. They're first and foremost. Then it's their students or companions, and then the ones after that. So 3 different generations, and then we have kind of a time period. This is what this is my thoughts, and I want to share it with you all so that you all can get some idea of all these concepts and all these terms, this terminology. After those 3 generations, I would say for at least the next 200 years, we have what we call the Salaf, that time period of the Salaf. So they were the successors to those 3 blessed generations, but they are our predecessors. They came before us. And then after that, for probably, I would say, roughly 300 or 400 years, we have what you call the mutaakhirin, the people who came after them. They were the latter. They were the last of the Mohican. Let's put it like that. That's the best ghetto translation we can put on it. They was the last of the Mohican that time. Those time periods, I would say, safely, I would say from 700 back to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, there were still living connections back to the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And all of our books, all of our divine books came within, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, the heart of all of our divine knowledge came in that time period. And then it tapered off from about 700 to about 1,000. After about 1,000 years after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, everybody been partying, to say the least. And Imam Sanusi, he is in this generation. He was about 800 years after the Prophet. So he was in this, this critical time period. So I said all that to say, when you go to try to deal with these unclear verses or unclear situations altogether, you first go and look at the Salafi Salihin. You go and look at what they said. You go and look at it's kind of impossible. Nowadays, there is a chant, and it's nothing other than a chant. There's no science to it. There's no knowledge to it. There's no hikmah, no wisdom, no hasanat, no ibadat, nothing. When people say we're following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf, you hear this chant. It ain't nothing but a chant. It's nothing but a chant. It's a song. It's a lyric in some song. Because when you hear this chant, or when you meet a person and And it's like, hey, brother, salam alaikum. Wa alaikum salam. Hey, are you following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of Salah? Like, brother, hey, you could have asked how I was doing, how was my family? You know, they're like that. These people, they get caught up in that. When you talk to them, you'll find if you have been learning Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salah for real, you'll find out like, mate, they don't know basic stuff. They don't know basic stuff like when somebody says they follow this, and I'm veering a little bit, but I'm like Sheikh Ayub used to say, I'm coming on that. If you know, you know. But when you talking to them kind of people and they say that, and then you ask them, well, how do you do that, or how should I do that? So you know, you might be challenged or something I'm saying or doing. How should I do that? Oh, you go to Bukhari. Hold up, you know, Bukhari. He followed, you know, he followed the, you know, a madhab or so forth. So how are you following the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salaf? Bukhari was not a Salaf. He was at best a Salafi Saleh, a person from that generation after the blessed generations at best. But he didn't, you know, he didn't jump straight over, you know, the generations. He went through the chain of command. So how can you do that? How can we do this? So when you hear people say that, just know that what I've started doing is kind of treating them like they're Majnun. So don't pay it no attention. So I said all that to say the only link that you have to those three just blessed generations is through the four madhabs. The Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, Malik ibn Anas, Muhammad Idris al-Shafi'i, and Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Okay, so when you run into situations where you stuck, you need to know something. You have to refer this back to the Salaf. Those right now, that's the only access to the Salafi Salihin that we have. That's the safest way, and it's the only way. So when you run into trouble, you do that. When you need to do ta'wil, you need to find out what does Allah's hand over the people mean. You go back and search, and when you're studying or you know somebody, you go back, and that's the pathway, that's the route that you must take. That's the first thing that you should do. Second, after that, then you're gonna see what they said when they were interpreting this verse and these verses. You're gonna see what they said. You don't go any further than that. It goes no further than that, period. We don't redo things that have already been done. Okay? If the Salafi Salihin didn't say it and didn't deal with it, or any of our scholars who follow them didn't use their same paradigm in dealing with some of the new issues and stuff today, don't bother. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Just keep going. You will not be questioned about it on the day of Qiyamah. What you do not do is say, it says Allah has a hand, so Allah has a hand, and then you start imagining a big giant hand or something. Na'udhu billah. You do not do that. So to bring that point around, that's the two ways that you deal with these verses in these situations as mutashabihat. This book, Aqidatul Sanusiyya, it will also deal with other aspects of belief, of Iman, situations like in the Bible, we grew up learning that one of our prophets did incest with his daughter. Na'udhu billah. So we have these thoughts. We're human. We have these thoughts. So we learn in books like this that that's not appropriate and why. We learn the concept, first and foremost, that's wrong. Second, why it's wrong. That's what we're going to be doing with this book. So that's the first thing you must know. Dealing with the mutashabihat, you have the two tools. I like to call them tools of tafweed. You just leave it alone, and ta'wil. You only give it the interpretation that our predecessors gave to it. And for the record, that our predecessors all said that Yadullah fawqa aydihim meant Allah's help, not an actual hand help. It doesn't go any further than that. If somebody keep asking you and asking you, no, but it says this and but it says that. Well, here's another hadith and here's you stay firm on what you on that right there. Hey, it means Allah's help. Don't say, hey, well, how could it mean this and how could it mean that and where'd that hadith come from and is that sound or who wrote this translation of the Quran? Don't do none of that. There's a rabbit hole that don't have a bottom. Don't do it. That's the answer to the question. When they say, what if Alif Lam Mim means? Does the Alif stand for alim? Does the Lam stand for leg? No, it don't mean nothing. It has no meaning. Leave it alone. The meaning, Allah knows the meaning. Excuse me. It has a meaning. Allah knows the meaning. I don't know it. Nobody knows it. Nobody in history ever knew it. That's the answer to the question. Now let's talk about how we need to pray, when we need to pray, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. So, evidence for what I'm saying, because you got folks out here nowadays, you got to be careful. You got folks out here nowadays that the first time they hear something from you or whoever or whatever the situation may be, they say, oh, what's the evidence? Can you post the evidence, brother? Can you post the evidence, sister? You got these whole evidence axers. Mind you, Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he spoke against hair splitting. That's what's called hair splitting. The people who do that, he said they'll be ruined. I'm paraphrasing the hadith. So just know when you got people asking you for the evidence, and the people who ask the evidence, number one, it's an invalid question for the most part. Because if you have to ask for the evidence 9 times out of 10, you are not equipped to be able to grade the evidence, if whether it's evidence or it's not. So the simple fact that you have to ask a question and say, oh, what's the evidence for that? Do you have proof? I can tell you anything because you don't know. That's what's so goofy about these, this group of people that keep, if you post anything, oh, what's the evidence for that, brother? If it's not, it's bid'ah. If you gotta ask me, that means you don't know. So, and then when you start to tell them, oh, that's wrong. Well, why did you ask me? If you knew, then you say, hold on, brother, I don't think that's correct according to this, blah, 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 blah. Don't ask me for the evidence. If you got to ask me for the evidence and then I tell you my evidence, you have to accept it because you asked me. So the evidence from what I'm saying and what we're doing, first and foremost, from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told us different statements. I'm just going to mix them all together. The very first statement of evidence that the scholars use for this science, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. That ayat means no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that the scholar said this is a command. Know that there is no God other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was a command. Fa'lam. That was a command. Okay, so that's the very, 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 very first thing that we all must know. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to know La ilaha illallah. This is the foundation of Aqidah, of belief. There's a whole science to just that small statement right there. Know that there's no God other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Volumes and volumes and volumes and volumes of books have been written just on La ilaha illallah, just on that. Abdul Aziz Aiken, what's up, man? Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, there's been volumes written on that. So no, this is the proof. This is the proof for the science of Aqidah, the knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Imam Sanusi, along with some other scholars, were real tough with this. When you're reading Ash'ari Aqidah, they are very, at least the Mutaakhirin scholars are very, 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 very tough about the knowing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's oneness. No, mandatory. So it is mandatory according to this ayah. It's not willy-nilly. It's not, hey, when I get around to it. This is mandatory, okay? We must learn these things. We have so much time in the day, and we get involved in so many things that do not benefit us. We get involved in so many things that do not benefit us. These things right here benefit us. So we got to be careful about our time. And you got to spend time learning what needs to be learned. This is mandatory. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it. Fa'lam, no, annahu la ilaha illallah. There's no God other than Allah. Definitely, annahu. Definitely, without a doubt, no doubt whatsoever. No doubt whatsoever. And if you have doubt about there only been one God, you're not a believer. It's that serious. It's not a joking matter. If you have any doubts whatsoever that there's there's only one Allah, you're not a believer yet. Inshallah ta'ala, if anybody, inshallah ta'ala, nobody has doubts. But if you do, go and fix those doubts. That's what books like this, what we're doing, will help us with. In another ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to us, أَفَلَا يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Also, he said, أَفَلَا تَذَكَّرُونَ. Don't you all think? Don't you wonder? Don't you ponder? What are you thinking about? What is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referring to in these verses? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is referring to, the evidences of his existence. Allah ta'ala said it in so many different places. So many different places. How many times have y'all read over the ayahs when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about the barren dirt, how it's just dirt? And then next thing you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends clouds, and then he releases the rain, and then that rain covers the dirt. It goes into the dirt, and then next thing you know, you got all types of vegetables and fruits and all the stuff that we love and that we actually live for. These are ayatullah. These are the signs of Allah's subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence. For years, a couple years, I was reading over those verses. Like, I was trying to get to the other stuff, like thou shalt not kill. I'm trying to learn about that. So I was skipping over stuff like that in my first couple of years being a Muslim. Mind you, I was in a joint. So I'm trying to learn how to keep my hands off of people. And when I did come home, inshallah ta'ala, how can I be a better person? I was skipping over that stuff. But once I got a hold on fixing my character and everything, and I'm still a work in progress. It's not that I'm done, but when I got that, when I felt like I was all right on that, those verses I started to think, like, what is this talking about? And then I remember the exact moment I started to learn. I started to be interested in the ilm al-kalam, the sciences of aqidah, the sciences of divine philosophy. When I read the ayah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, look at the sky, and he challenged us and said, can you find any imperfections in it? Can you find any rifts in the sky? That small ayah, that small verse, that small statement has such a huge impact. And we overlook it because we're dealing with more of the outward things and the outward meanings, as opposed to dealing with the inward things and the inward meanings. Hurry up. So I came to that ayah, and it dawned on me. I was like, why is Allah asking us that? So I looked out my jail cell window. Was like, what is Allah talking about? I'm doing this thing, fikr. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, yatafakkarun, tadhakkarun, dhikr, fikr. I'm doing this. I'm like, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about? I'm looking at the sky, but then I had to think about the question that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us. Can you find any imperfection in it? And I'm looking, I'm like, can I find any imperfection in it? Like, what does that mean? I'm literally looking at the sky, how do we even know if the sky is perfect or if it's not perfect? Like, where's another sky that we can compare it to see, okay, say this sky is good and this sky is bad. I'm going through it. And then it just dawned on me after just continuously debating it with myself. It was probably a couple of days, maybe even a week. And I kept going back to the ayah. And then there were some other ayats that helped me get the understanding. And the one ayat that helped me get that understanding was when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that inside of ourselves and all through the earth are the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that ayah put the light bulb on for me for the other ayah. So, the sky is perfect. That's an indication of the existence of our Creator, of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is evidence. That is physical, tangible evidence that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. Why? Why is that evidence? Because look at man. Everything we try to make, everything that we touch, we mess it up. Everything. There was another ayah that I kept coming to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, gather all of mankind and ask them to make a fly. I kept skipping over that. I kept reading over that. It didn't make sense at the time. Like I said, I was looking for other outward practices and meanings. And I had all that stuff was just kind of coming together at once. And I thought about it, I was like, hold up. Nobody in history has ever made a fly, not cloned one. The one you got to clone you got to clone something that already exists. We talking about open up your hand and poof, there's a fly. That has never happened in the history of mankind, and it never will happen. Never will. If it does happen, it's a mu'jiza. It's a miracle. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave whatever or whoever that ability to do that. And we're gonna get in that in the Aqidah. It dawned on me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's perfect and his order is perfect and everything that he does is perfect. And this showed me that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed because we're not in charge of the sky. We selfishly, by the leave of Allah, selfishly make use of everything that come out that sky. Every day they studying some stuff and they disbelieve on top of that. They're studying the blessings, these beautiful blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us, these ayats, these signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us. We've taken so much benefit out of it. We don't control any of that. Something and somebody has to be controlling it. If we aren't, and we're the strongest, most high of all of creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that. And we have nothing to do with that order. Moving the clouds, dropping the rain, putting the rain in the dirt, making the flowers grow, making the fruit come on the flowers, making trees so we can chop the trees down and make wood, and use the wood to make a house. We don't originate any of that stuff. We use it, but we don't originate any of it. So these are the ayat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the evidence of this science, the science of Aqidah, the science of the proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's existence is all through the Quran. Our brains, for the most part, just aren't trained to, look at it and know that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying to us. So, so these different ayahs, I just chose those three because those are the ones that I had an actual experience with. So I chose those ayahs. There are many, many, many more. Inshallah, maybe we'll talk about them. So we have that's the foundational proof right there for the pondering. Or let's just say this, because we got, we our counterparts always, bother us. These ayat are evidence for the pondering and the divine philosophy, not Greek philosophy. This has nothing to do with Greek philosophy. As a matter of fact, the Ash'ari scholars were the only ones, not only, but they were the ones that defeated the Greek philosophers. You hear these people like, oh, don't listen to Ash'aris, the Ash'ari this, the Ash'ari that, the Greek philosophers, they took their belief from Greek philosophy. No, we were the ones that destroyed Greek philosophy. And our scholars are still doing it to this day. Right now, the atheists have taken over. So our scholars, right now to this day, there are Ash'ari scholars on the forefront that are battling the atheists and destroying them, limb by limb, destroying them, destroying them. I don't see any of those other groups. I don't see any Shia. I don't see any Salafis. I don't see any of them guys battling the atheists on the forefront, and even other religions that challenge the Islamic belief. So moving forward, we running short on time. Okay, maybe I could finish this my little introduction. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've said so far? Salam alaikum, Ukhti Zakaria. Nobody have questions? Okay, if you have a question, post it real quick. Maybe we can discuss it before we go, because I'm gonna keep this all an hour. Inshallah. Hey, Tavares, salam alaikum. Hey, I gotta holler at you, Tavares. I gotta holler at you, man. We need you. That's our Hanafi Maturidi connect. We about to work him in, inshallah. He work a lot too, so. Man, how you drop that last bomb, man? We we need you. Okay, so nobody. Let me go through this real quick. I don't see any questions. Yeah. Okay. So let me go through the. Let me close up this my introduction so we can jump into the book on the next session, inshallah. So I wanted to bring some evidence for all the stuff I just said for tafweed and ta'wil, how we deal with the mutashabihat verses. So just know first and foremost that the original position for the scholars and for us, like I said before earlier in the program, is that we should when we reach the mutashabihat ayat, we should leave them alone. We don't touch them, don't open them up, don't think you're smart, don't think that you are going to figure out something that nobody in history has ever figured out. So I gathered a couple of statements for the as evidence for tafweed and ta'wil, because there's a lot of cacophony out there that the Salafi Salihin were not proponents of tafweed and ta'wil in dealing with the mutashabihats. So we're going to deal with the big four. Of course, there are so many other imams, but none of them trump these big four. And the only ones that have existing madhabs are these four. Nobody else has a madhab. Everybody else are in submission to the four madhabs. You can call it what you want. You can call it whatever you want. You sooner or later you're gonna have to refer back to one of our fiqh books in order to practice your sect at the end of the day. So Imam Abu Hanifa got a couple of statements of tafweed and ta'wil. Imam Abu Hanifa made a statement of tafweed in reference to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being in a space. This is all dealing with our aqidah, and we're going to get into it. I just want y'all to see before we get into the book that our belief system, our aqidah is rooted in the practice of the practice and the beliefs and the way of the Salafi Salihin. So we got groups of people who say that they follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the way of the Salah, but then they go and quote, scholars from Saudi Arabia that lived like 100 years ago. Those people were not the Salafs. They can't speak on behalf of the Salaf. So, like me, I want to go to the horse's mouth. We're going to go straight to the Salaf. And everybody's arguing what the Salaf said, what the Salaf didn't say. So why don't you just go ask the Salaf, go read and go look and go see. Don't go to Saudi Arabia and read a bunch of pamphlets because they're going to send you all the way to Mars. You have to go to the traditional knowledge with the traditional scholars. Sooner or later, you got to get in line. When you go to the Salaf, you should see what they say. Statements of tafweed and ta'wil. Imam Abu Hanifa, rahimahumullah, he said about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being in a place, there was nothing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existed. Khalas. Does that make any sense? No. Is it supposed to make sense? No. Leave it alone. Don't think about it. It ain't none of your business. In a statement of ta'wil, Abu Hanifa rahimahumullah, he said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an entity unlike any other entity. So he's telling you, yes, he exists, but not unlike anything that you can ever think of. So since a lot of people fall into what we call ta'atil when you are denying the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because you have a trouble understanding them or even trying to explain them. So since you don't understand it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists. His attributes are real. They're part of him. They're real. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is real. He said, the meaning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being an entity unlike any other is that he is without a body, he is without substance or an accident. He has no definition / limit. He has no opposite. He has no equal. He has no peer. Khalas. So this is ta'weed. So the statement of tafweed is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is an entity unlike any other entity. That's tafweed. Leave it alone. But if you got to go and try to, figure it out, you only, like I said before, you only go as far as you're supposed to go, which is what these people said. And he said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a body. He's not a substance. He's not in no type of accident or occurrence. He has no definition. He has no limit. He has no opposite, no equal, no peer. Okay. So he just canceled everything that you can think of. And also, he did say the place, but everything that you could possibly think of, he negated all of it and left you with nothing. And that's what tafweed is. And ultimately in ta'wil. Next, Imam Malik, rahimahumullah. He made a statement in reference to the statement in the ayah, istiwa ala al-arsh, Allah Ta'ala's rising on the arsh. He said the istiwa is known because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it in the Quran. He said it, so it's known. But the kayf is illogical. How that happened is illogical. So you cannot. We know that this is real. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it. It's in the Quran. But trying to go imagine Allah floating and then sitting down on the throne. Na'udhu billah, may Allah forgive us all for saying it or even thinking it. So Imam Malik just gave you a statement of tafweed. So this is rooted in the sunnah of the Salafi Salihin. Also, a statement of ta'wil from Imam Malik. Imam Malik was quoting the Prophet, alayhi salatu salam, and he said that Nabi, alayhi salatu salam, said, do not think that I am higher than Prophet Yunus, alayhi salam. And he said he only said that because he wanted to impress the transcendence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from a direction. So he was trying to prove to a person or somebody or whoever that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in a place, it doesn't exist in a direction, despite what some people say and what some people think. Even though it says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did nuzul or came down and so on, we have statements, we have ayahs, we have hadiths. We know that. But those statements, those ayahs and those hadiths do not mean what you think that they mean. So what did Imam Malik mean when he said this? Because we all know that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam was quote unquote risen up to the heavens and all the different levels of the heavens and the Isra wal Mi'raj. Okay, we all know that he was risen up. This is what the hadiths say. All right, we all know that Yunus ibn Matta alayhi salam was taken down into the fish and so on and so forth. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was in a direction, then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would be higher than Prophet Yunus alayhi salam because he rose up and Prophet Yunus went down. But the Prophet Muhammad said, don't think that I'm above him. So Imam Malik was using that hadith as evidence, not that hadith, but those instances. He was using that to prove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in a direction. Further, I do not have a statement of ta'wil of Imam Shafi'i. I don't even know if it exists because as far as I know, Imam Shafi'i was strictly a mufawwid, which means a person of tafweed. Maybe Abdul Mujib, our Shafi'i connect, will be able to help us. We run a short on time. I only got one more statement. Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he said about the mutashabihat ayat that I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam said uh, has come to us in the book and the hadith with the meaning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Messenger intended. So this is what we call tafweed ma'ana, where you believe in the istiwa of the arsh, you believe in the nuzul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the third of the night. You believe in all of these statements that are troubling to your mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala having a hand, Yadullah fawqa aydihim, the shin of Allah, the sackle of Allah, all this stuff. We believe in it. Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he said we believe in it, but we do not give it a meaning. We leave the meaning to Allah. We have a group of people out there who's saying that tafweed al-ma'na is haram and it's evil and it's from the devil and it's a sectarian or whatever. You just heard Imam Shafi'i say it. So if you are one of those people, you are not allowed to say that tafweed al-ma'na is bad anymore. And if you do, then you are not a sincere Muslim and your intellect is suspended if your Islam is not suspended and you are a Majestic, which is a pagan. So you heard Imam Shafi'i say it. Nobody today or yesterday or 100 years ago or who lives in Saudi Arabia is bigger than Imam Shafi'i or the other two Imams, nor will they ever be. I don't care how long their books are or their beard or their little turbans. Lastly, we have Imam Ahmad, rahimahumullah. He said about the mutashabihat ayat, we believe in it and the truthfulness of it without saying how nor giving it any meaning, nor do we reject any of it. So that's tafweed, straight up. Imam Ahmad, he did tafweed. He said we believe in it. We don't give it any meaning whatsoever. We leave the meaning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we believe in it. We don't reject it. Also, we have a example of ta'wil from Imam Ahmad, which is very rare at this point in this. My Hanbali brothers in the 18, they gonna jump me when we hook up in the A if I don't say this. Ta'wil in the Hanbali madhab is haram. Okay, to them, doing ta'wil is haram. That's not the opinion of the other three, but that is the dominant, the mu'tamad opinion in the Hanbali madhab. But we do have a couple of authentic statements of Imam Ahmad. This is one of them, doing ta'wil. They don't like it. They don't like that I'm going to say this, but you know, I'm Ash'ari. I'm not Hanbali. So, but Imam Ahmad said, according to Imam Bayhaqi, so it came from a sound source, and Imam Bayhaqi even said about this statement that the chain was sahih. Back to Imam Ahmad. He said about interpreting the ayah, and your Lord shall come, shall come, like, doing a moving direction. That's literally what the ayah says. And in interpreting this, Imam Ahmad said, his reward shall come. Not, so that's, he did ta'wil. He didn't do tafweed and just leave it alone like he said before. He gave a meaning. I guess he felt a pressing need in that situation, which I'm not privy to, but I'm pretty sure if Imam Ahmad did ta'wil, he felt like it was an extreme case and he had to say that to the person or the individuals that he was speaking to. So that that's the first part. We're going to bring that to a close. Okay, I see a couple of comments. Hey, it's not like Nunu. No problem, sister, no problem. Lady 18, the Lady 18 man repping, y'all. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. أختي زكريا متشابهات of course to establish a regular prayer and to get church. Yeah, okay, so good. That's a good point. Sister Zakaria, she's a member of the Lady 18. She gave us two examples of mutashabihat and what the ayat, the muhkamat, the clear and unclear verses. Said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer than your jugular vein. Is popular ayah of proof. We all know Allah ta'ala is not in our neck. So this is proof that you can't believe these things literally. And then she gave us an example of muhkamat, a clear verse or verses, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Waqimu salat wa atu zakat. to establish prayer, regular prayer, and to give charity. So she understands the assignment. Okay, so no more questions. All right. So inshallah ta'ala, that was clear. So just closing up that presentation, we see that the silent science of Aqidah is real. It is part of our sunnah. We've learned today that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to learn this. And we also seeing the way that the Salaf dealt with these unclear matters, which is pretty much what Aqidah is. And that's what this book, UMMUL-BARAAHEEN, is about. UMMUL-BARAAHEEN, excuse me. So inshallah ta'ala, we will we have our proofs. So nobody can say we don't have our proofs. And there's always, one of those dudes that'll comment at this point in the video, like, dude, where's your proof? There's always that guy. Please don't be that buffoon. Please don't be that buffoon. And I say this a lot in a lot of my videos. And even when I say it's always gonna be that guy that say, hey, where's your proof? And I say, don't be the buffoon that says, where's the proof? And we're at this point, we're almost we're an hour and 2 minutes in this video, and you saying, where's your proof? Brother, you don't understand the assignment. Oh, repping for the lady 18. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so inshallah, we got a special live stream we'll be doing. The brothers in the A team, there are 9 of us, but one of us is overseas studying, getting his ijazat in the Hanbali madhab. So inshallah ta'ala, soon he will be Imam so-and-so. And as soon as he is, we're gonna turn him loose on y'all. But he won't be there. But the rest of us will, inshallah ta'ala. And we're going to be holding a small conference in Atlanta about producing Black scholarship and for those Black scholars to work in the community that they came out of. Because too many times, all the time, 100% of the time, our scholars go over, people from our community go overseas and they come back somebody else. They can't relate to us. We can't relate to them. They don't establish masajid in our communities, and our community is suffering egregiously. And it's not suffering because we don't have enough government assistance. It's not suffering because of police brutality. It's not suffering because of gangs and all of this stuff that the news says. It's suffering for this reason right here. There's no Iman, and there's no Aqidah, and there's no Islam. So what we are doing, anybody who saw this video or watched this video for any amount of time, you are being part of the solution by learning. So we're going to be holding a small conference. This will be our first one, inshallah ta'ala. We're going to live stream it, so y'all stay tuned. I think it's going to be June 4th, Saturday, June 4th. So inshallah, we're going to keep y'all posted on all the details with that. We still getting it together, so we haven't posted any propagation of it. So inshallah ta'ala, very soon, we'll be having that special live stream. And if anybody is in Atlanta, then y'all come to where we're going to be having the program, inshallah. I would hope that y'all would share it and stream it so we can start getting some things done, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, I love y'all for the sake of Allah. If I said anything wrong, it does not belong to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his religion, his messengers, the messenger, or the illustrious scholars, or my illustrious scholars. It's my slip and my make. If you're not Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, don't correct me. I ain't trying to hear it. I ain't even gonna play with you. If you know you're not an Ash'ari or a Maturidi or a Hanbali, if you got some other Aqidah, save it. This ain't for you. Just go to your little group, and do whatever it is that y'all do in y'all's little group. This right here is for Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which is the Ash'ari. Excuse me, I'm wrong. The Maturidi, no, the Hanabila, the Maturidiyya, and the Ash'ari. Ain't no other Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. There aren't two Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's not. That's Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. That's it. That's all. So if you're not that, stay off my video, or I'm gonna call you out and embarrass you on the Facebook. All right, I love y'all for the sake of Allah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ولا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.